This video is for business leaders who understand what grit means to their chances of success. But what does grit mean? Grit is perseverance and passion for very long-term goals. A lack of grit is why most people never achieve their goals in business and life. So stick with me to the end of this video for bonus material on how to grow your grit, and a recommended video on how to use your own dopamine to grow your grit even more. This is the same mechanism, the dopamine channels, the dopamine pathways that marketers use to make you excited about their products. You can use similar techniques on yourself to grow your own grit and your own perseverance. So it's kind of cool, and it's quite simple to do once you know how. You may be wondering about grit. Where does it come from? The answer to that is to ask yourself, what am I most passionate about? The Japanese would call that thing that you're most passionate about your ikigai, or life's motivation. Without passion for your goals, you won't persevere long enough to achieve them. It's pretty much a given, but at the same time, it's a really important component of it. The whole idea of follow your bliss has now, from a number of sources, being validated as a scientific thing, not just an opinion held by dreamers. So essentially what you want to do is you want to, as far as possible, focus only that which you are very passionate about to maximize your grit. I understand that we can't always do that, but we can oftentimes select what we want to focus on and farm out or delegate the rest of it, but not always. In that case, you got to suck it up. But as much as you can, you want to focus on what you're passionate about, because the passion, that drive to keep going when all is not so easy, sexy, or fun, is exactly what you're going to need to get you through the dip, the hard parts, the challenges. So you can't really develop grit, or you can't be in a state of grit, if you want to call it a state, unless you have passion, because you won't be sticking it out long enough to make the achievement happen. And grit is one of the best predictors by far of success, better than IQ, probably better than EQ, though I don't have specific verification of that. So that's really all there is to this video, except now we are on to the bonus content. So thank you for watching this far. And to grow your grit, here's what you can do in terms of building this into a habit. That is, make challenging yourself and growing your passion for things a habit. So this isn't just taking what you're passionate about and then seeking to focus on doing that more, as I just talked about. This is about building your passion. You can create or increase your passion intentionally and consciously, especially if you do it consistently. Your brain and your nervous system is a programmable thing. You just need to do it as often as possible, as consistently as possible, to really make that happen. So the idea here is to push yourself to perform the top edge of your ability as your default setting, both at work and within your hobbies. So in other words, instead of just saying, I'm just going to go have fun, there's nothing wrong with just having fun, or playing a game, or pursuing your hobby, or pursuing your work at a certain level that is comfortable. But comfortable isn't where you will actually grow your grit. If it's not challenging, that is one of the fundamental criteria for increasing your grit, in the same way the fundamental criteria for increasing your muscular strength is to work at the top edge of your ability. So make doing that whenever possible just a habit, a thing you do as that default setting. I'm not just going to go out and hit some balls around when I play tennis. I'm going to try to play tennis better this time than I ever have any time before. So also, when you're finished doing whatever activity, whatever skill you're trying to build around your work or hobbies, when you're finished, reflect on and do a type of mental debrief. This is to think about what you're doing. Now, this is one of the places you can actually grow your passion, is think about and be intentionally excited, actually evoke your emotions to be excited about what you just did. There's other times you can do this, but after the fact, what happens is by doing this immediately after doing something is your brain will now associate that excitement, that uplifting feeling, that interest, that passion in what you're doing with basically work yourself up is what I'm saying. But do this after you do the activity so your brain associates that excitement. And you're also integrating something that Daniel Kahneman calls the peak end rule. So what happens, the peak experience and the last part of an experience, so the peak emotion and the last part of an experience are what you remember and your brain will associate with that experience most. So when you take the peak part and you put it at the end, you're combining the power of the peak and the end part of the peak end rule to make an increased or a potentiated association between your passion, your excitement for something, and it being near the end. So that's the last thing your brain remembers about this activity. I use this all the time, actually, in my classes, especially when I'm working with young kids. It almost doesn't matter what I do in class. I have to work hard to keep their attention. But when I leave, I'm like, bye-bye, bye-bye, see you next time, Johnny, which is just a casual way of saying basically see you later. But by being excited at the end of the class, that is the last thing they remember. And every time I come into those classes, they are excited to see me, Tim Sensei, and they're waving and they want a high five, but they're not allowed because of COVID is still an issue right now while I'm making this recording. So just making an association in your brain between that emotional excitement, the emotional passion, and the end of an activity will really solidify that. And there's a couple other things you can do, and this is more along the deliberate practice side. And that is, while you're doing this mental debrief, besides the emotional association I just discussed, ask yourself, what did I do well? And be honest with yourself. You can't trick yourself into saying, what did you do well in this activity today that you've strove to do at your top ability? Think about it. And you might go, well, today I didn't do anything especially well. That's not bad. I would rather you be mindful and honest, but at the same time, you want to strive even more to identify some specific thing you did during the activity, especially well, or at least as well as you can possibly do it. Make a mental note of that. That's a mindfulness kind of thing, right? And then the next thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, what will I do better next time? So this is when you can take that thing that you maybe didn't do as well as you'd hoped you'd done, where you were having an off day, and say, this aspect of what I did wasn't at the level I'd like it to be at. What can I do better, or what specifically will I do better next time? And to add to the probability that you can actually increase your performance, ask yourself a follow-up question. Now that you've identified your target improvement behavior for the next time, ask yourself specifically, what should I do? What should I focus on next time to do it better? So what am I going to improve, and what am I going to do to make that improvement happen? So that's it for this episode, with one last thing, and that is the recommended video, which is called Grow Your Own Grit by Being Your Own Dopamine Dealer. I will put the link right there for this video, and please share this video with everyone who wants to grow their grit so they can succeed at their most challenging goals and tasks. This has been Crush It Club 284. Grit means, what does grit mean? My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.